Shadow work is the process of exploring the hidden or suppressed parts of ourselves, our fears, insecurities, patterns, and beliefs that often operate beneath the surface. It's not about judgment, it's about bringing light to the dark, understanding ourselves more deeply, and integrating what we've rejected or ignored. The Witch's Shadow Work Oracle by Clare Gogarty is a powerful tool for this inner journey. With 40 beautifully illustrated cards and a rich intuitive guidebook, the deck invites you to meet your shadow with curiosity, compassion, and a touch of witchy wisdom. Each card offers prompts and insight to support healing, transformation, and self-empowerment, perfect for personal reflection, ritual, or daily draws. In this video, I'll walk you through all 40 cards and share what's included in the guidebook, so you can see exactly how this deck might support your shadow work practice. Help me ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. How are we all doing? I'm joining you today. This is the second attempt. It's a hot day. I've got my cold brew coffee. It's been brewed for 36 hours. It's got some oat milk in it. It's keeping me nice and cool. But I explained that with it being a hot day, I needed the windows open. But then all the sirens and everything started, and the background noise was so distracting that I've had to close the windows. So this might not be the longest walkthrough video, just because I need to be able to open the windows again and breathe. But anyway, I'm nice and cool, and like I said, I've got a cold drink, which is beautiful. And I'm here because I want to do a walkthrough of the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle. Now, this was one of the decks that Cheryl sent as part of the Spotlight that we did a couple of weeks ago. I've not looked at it since then. We showed a few cards. This has been sent for review by Cheryl at Oneness Emporium. And as always with her decks, there is a link to her shop in the description. And with her decks, as I mentioned, there's a 10% code if you use Hermit's 10 here at the bottom to get 10% off at the checkout. And from what I saw of this, I really liked the look of it. The creators are Clare Gogarty and Tijana Lukovic is the artist. It is by Watkins, and on the back it says, pick a card and discover your shadow side. Moon goddesses, bird souls, wolves, rebels, archetypes, and magical creatures all are intertwined in these 40 gorgeous artworks. Each card is full of hidden meanings and associations to help you confront and integrate your shadow self psychologically and magically. Tijana Lukovic has MFAs in both drawing and painting. She has over 1,000 followers on her Instagram, which is at Tijana Draws. Clare Gogarty is the author of many non-fiction books, including The Witch's Yearbook, Your Magical Garden, and The Magic of Seeds. So that looks really cool. It is in a 2-part box, as you can see. I'm going to bring the camera down just so we can have a closer look. Okay, so hopefully that's better. Box, very sturdy. We do have a little, I was going to say a little white book, but this is actually quite a chunky 184 page book. We do get a kind of a grayscale but full page illustration of the card. Nice bit of write-up. So we get a question here of what the forest is asking. For example, the warrior, what the warrior is asking, and a question, an interpretation, and then you say, and then there's a little bit here for journal prompting as well, which is quite useful. I like that. Yeah, or a little practice to do, a witchy practice. Let's have a look at what's on the inside. So the contents, we get an introduction. What is shadow work? That's a question I get asked the most, I think. Whenever I'm doing deck reviews and I say I think this deck will be good for inner child work or shadow work, I invariably get asked, what is that? What's the difference? Does it look like there's going to be a lot on it because it's only one page? How to use the cards, the 4 suits. So this is broken down into 4 suits, and then keeping a shadow journal, which I think if doing any shadow work, keeping a shadow journal is key. So part 1, we've got the natural world. So we have things like hare, raven, a cave, everything to do with the natural world. And then we have the dream world. Part 3 is the imagined world, and part 4 is the easy for me to say, the invisible world. Then a little bit about the author and the illustrator. Okay, so for shadow work, there's just this little chunk. So I'm going to read this because I think it'll answer a lot of questions for people. I don't know how in depth it is going to go. Obviously not very, with just 3 short paragraphs. But shadow work is an exploration of the darker side of our characters, those traits that we prefer to ignore. The psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung, who pioneered the practice, called the shadow the negative side of the personality, the sum of all those unpleasant qualities we like to hide. Bringing the shadow into the light is a powerful approach to healing that involves exploring, then integrating primitive, negative emotions. These include rage, envy, greed, selfishness, desire, resentment, and the striving for power. By shining a spotlight into these dark corners of our psyche, we begin to understand ourselves and transform buried pain into personal growth. Shadow work helps you end the constant battle with the self so that you can boost your confidence and find wholeness. It can also unlock love and compassion you have previously denied to yourself and others. It can even help you make peace with yourself and those around you. To say that is a very short kind of overview of shadow work, that is quite beautifully written. And if I was to ask to sum up shadow work in 3 short sentences or 3 short paragraphs, I don't think I could do better than that. So that's really useful. There is a section on how to use the cards or for spreads. We go through 1 card readings in more depth with a 3 card reading, and deeper still with 5, which is interesting. And then, like I say, we go into the cards. They sit nicely in this tray, which is quite nice. They are glossy. As you can see the perfect ring light, which is an indication, if you're watching this, that it's glossy. The cards aren't huge, actually. As far as oracle decks go, let's look at a standard tarot. They are shorter than a tarot and just a little bit wider. So they're not a huge size. They're larger than a playing card, but not as big as some oracle cards that you might be used to getting. So you'll see from these images here, they're quite rudimentary. I really like them. This is the sort of images that I really like for an oracle deck, and just a title. Obviously, the purpose and intention, as we said, is to focus on shadow work, and to have that, the deck is there really to encourage introspection, confronting our inner truths, and then obviously using these witchy images, you know, it will result, or hopefully should result, in some personal transformation. I like the art style, as I said. I like the simple, in some ways it reminds me a little bit of, oh, what's the deck called? Luminous Void. It reminds me a little bit of that, if you're used to that. In fact, let's grab Luminous Void. Laura Zuspan's deck. I brought out the smaller version of this because it can be quite large. But if you kind of see what I mean in some of the cards, they do feel quite similar. To me anyway. I think this would pair really well. For those of you who love to pair decks, I love this deck. I had to get the more, this is called the shuffle size version, but I don't know, it really feels like these would go beautifully together. As soon as I saw these images, I was like, yeah, Luminous Void. So anyway, little segue there, but I know people like to pair decks, so that's a tip from me. Cardstock is pretty thick, it's nice, it's decent. These are the backs with a little witch there. Yeah, so let's take a look. So we've got the hair. I love hairs. If you watch me on a Saturday, you'll see the hair behind me on the left hand side of the screen. We have Raven, the cave, my little hermit's cave, snake, we have the friend, the selkie, oh excuse me, the selkie, the stars. It looks like we're going to have moon, it's because I just looked at it. It looks like we're going to have the word "the" in front of everything. That might annoy me a little bit. The moon, the bat, look at that, it's a great image, isn't it? The flower girl, the judge. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary to have the, I mean, we could have had cave, flower girl, well, but anyway. The lightning bolts, look at that, the forest. The ice green is something very, the bereaved. The images are quite emotive, really. I mean, the dancer, look at that image. Got Pan by the looks of it. Shadow work isn't to be taken lightly. So normally I'd say I think this deck is good for beginners. And I suppose it would. I think this is quite a soft deck in terms of its palette and its images. We'll take a look at what you get in the book for if you pull a card. So we'll look at the survivor. Look at this. I thought this was like the landscape, but it's like I don't know, it's like a fox or something. So the survivor, so they're not numbered, as you can see. So we will go to the beginning and look up where the survivor is. So it's here, page 121, under the imagined world. Okay, so it says the survivor asks, who has hurt you most in your life? Wow, There's a journal prompt, if ever there was one. And then the interpretation is, in the earliest version of Little Red Riding Hood, the little girl wanders off the path on her way to take food to her grandmother and meets a sly old wolf. So it's not a fox, it's a wolf. It's from Little Red Riding Hood. With supper on his mind, the wolf races to the grandmother's house, eats the old woman, dresses in her clothes and gets into bed to await the little girl. On arrival, Red Riding Hood believes he is her grandmother, and the wolf gobbles her up too. In later versions, Red Riding Hood is rescued by a woodcutter who kills the wolf and then opens him up to release the girl and the grandmother. Let's stick with this happier ending. Who knew there was 2 versions? A surprising number of fairy tales feature children who are abused or neglected by parents or other adults. Yeah, there's always the wicked stepmother, isn't there? Abandoned, handed over to monsters, even killed. There is no end to the misfortune heaped upon them by their so-called protectors. Unfortunately, most fairy tales have happy endings, offering hope that violence, terror and deception can be survived. Have you had a big bad wolf in your life? Was there someone who deceived you? A real wolf in sheep's clothing? Were you mistreated or neglected as a child? How did you deal with that? Does it still affect you? If so, it is time to lay that ghost to rest. You say, I am resilient. And then again, there's always kind of like an activity, whether it's a ritual, whether it's a journal prompt. This is about putting pen to paper in an effective way to release locked in emotions associated with someone who has hurt you. In your shadow journal, write a letter to that person straight from the heart. Do this without reservation and without stopping. Let the words stream out of your consciousness and don't check spelling or grammar. Just write whatever comes to your head. As you write, keep the person in mind and address your thoughts to them. Spell out what they did to hurt you, how it made you feel, and how it has affected your life. You do not need to send this letter. In fact, it's probably better if you don't. It could stir up more hurt or cause trouble. Instead, light a candle and safely and carefully burn the letter over a metal dish or in a sink. As the flames consume your words, visualize any lingering pain caused by the person who hurt you shriveling and turning to dust. Take the ashes outside and cast them to the wind with a shout of release. That is actually a really good practical tip. I'm impressed. I think the book is beautifully written, and I think the activity, and I can see why it's called the Witch's Shadow Work Deck, because writing things, burning it, releasing it to the wind or burying the ashes is very much pagan practice, witchcraft practice, and I really like it. And I think as well, if, as I said, that can be quite triggering, talking about people who've hurt you in the past, particularly we're talking about survivors of abuse, etc. So it's to be entered with caution, and also when you are ready to confront your shadow. I can't stress that enough. But what I like about this is it doesn't just open it up and shine the light on your shadow. It gives you practical and very sound kind of advice, guidance, and those practical activities that you can do that would really help and benefit. We have the sleeper, the woodcutter. I love it. I love this artwork. The lover, leader, the parent, the sibling, the bad child. Is there such a thing? I think that's why it's kind of bad in speech marks there. The comforter, the misunderstood, the meditator, the mother, the inner child, the creative, and the authentic self. What a great little deck. It is 40 cards. That's probably as low as I want to go with an oracle. It might have been nicer to have a few more, but 40 is okay. 40 is okay. And hopefully it covers all aspects as well, having those 40 cards to start the process of shadow work. So easy to shuffle because it's not a huge deck, as I mentioned. The trickster. Do you know the trickster keeps coming up in the archetype Archeo deck as well? I need to pay attention to what this is about. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. It's actually got 2024 on the inside here, but it's new out in the UK because it's been sent to Cheryl. Don't forget to check her out in the description below, and if you want that 10% off, then use the code Hermits10 at the bottom here to get that 10% discount. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.